Are you drinking fine wine? Or maybe you just think you're drinking fine wine. Or maybe when you hear fine wine, you think of something that's pretentious and hoity-toity. Well, on today's episode, we're going to straighten you out and let you know that you should be drinking nothing but fine wine and not breaking the bank at the same time. All that and so much more on this episode of The Average Wine Enthusiast. Hi there, everybody. My name's Mike LaPlante, and I am the Average Wine Enthusiast. On this episode, we are going to be talking about fine wine. And according to the Wine Dictionary, fine wine can be defined as... Oh, wait a minute. There's no wine dictionary because there's no specific definition for fine wine. So that's why I'm coming to you today to let you know what fine wine is. And why do I want to do that? Because I think that everybody should be drinking fine wine. What other kinds of wines are there? Well, we'll get into that. I think that wine can be grouped depending on a certain amount of variables. Where it came from, whether it's from Lake Erie North Shore, or whether it's from Bordeaux, or whether it's from Chile, that can be a factor. How much of it was made? That's another factor. The intent of the vineyard manager who's growing the grapes, where he gets his directive from somebody. Do I harvest 15 tons of grapes from this acre of grape plants, or do I harvest 3 tons? Obviously, the quality is going to be different depending on the yield from the vineyard. And the label that's on that bottle of wine is also going to have some effect on whether it's fine wine or not. Sort of, how does that happen? The label's on the outside, the wine's on the inside. Well, we'll get to that. So I think the fine wine category is obviously loosely defined, but the way that we can get around that is to tell you what fine wine isn't. Fine wine is not necessarily homemade wine, because there's a lot of people who make their own wine, and it's such a small percentage of the amount of wine that is drank worldwide. But some of it can be fine wine. The next category I want to talk to you about is bulk wine. This is wine that is produced by big conglomerates, large estates, and they make this wine specifically to be sold as bulk wine. It's like wholesale almost. And who buys bulk wine? Well, a lot of people buy bulk wine. Other wineries will buy bulk wine to blend with the wine that they're making, that they have some control over, just to have a blend. It's better than water, I guess. And I've heard that some wineries got caught putting water in their wine. Not a good deal. But anyway, so that's one purpose for bulk wine. The other is it's sold to companies that are set up specifically to buy bulk wine. They bottle it, they put a label on it, market it a very specific way, and then distribute it. They got those systems in place as well, to whether it's liquor stores or restaurants or whatever. So that's a business in itself, is to buy bulk wine and then sell it as a regular bottle of wine that may have some cachet to it. Now, what about the quality of bulk wine? In my experience, and from people I talk to, 10% of bulk wine is crap. 80% of it is meh, and that would probably be the stuff that gets blended. 10% of, the final 10%, of bulk wine is pretty decent. And those people who buy it, bottle it, and label it can ask a pretty decent price for their bulk wine. And bulk wine, just like apples and tomatoes and everything else, gets graded. So, if you're buying bulk wine, you want to make sure that, the grade you buy is suitable for the purpose that you're buying it. So that's bulk wine, and it's a huge business. It's like concentrated orange juice, I guess. The other category of wine, which I believe is the most purchased type of wine, and it's where the majority of the retail revenue is generated, is production wine. Now, I've talked to you about production wine. In fact, I did 2 shows on production wine. And of course, this is wine that is made by companies, not wineries, not mom and pops, but companies who are making lots and lots of this wine. And how they sell it is they make it the same or pretty close to the same every single year. And they make lots of it. And you can find it everywhere, which, how can that obviously be fine wine? I can find it at the grocery store in Des Moines, Iowa, and I can find it at the wine shop in British Columbia. It's like Caymus. Caymus is a very good example of this, kind of like one of my most head-shaking experiences in the wine world. Is they only have so much acreage in Napa Valley. Caymus, whoever owns Caymus, I'm going to guess it's the Wagner family or the big one there, Robert Mondavi. And they produce this wine that obviously has some chemical or some additive to it, maybe even some bulk wine for all we know. And they charge $100 a bottle for this. And you can find it in Des Moines, Iowa. You can find it all over the world in the wine shops and little corner stores. And it's crazy where you can find this. But yet it's sold for $100 a bottle, at least here in the LCBOs. It's over $100. And this is just a great example of taking advantage of a status symbol, conspicuous consumption. Look at me, I'm pouring a bottle of Caymus because I know you know it's Caymus and it costs this much money and you're worth it. Don't try to pour a bottle of Caymus if I'm at your house, please. Thank you. So, Caymus production wine. What else is production wine? Well, I went to the liquor store and I made this little clip here, and you can see that there is a lot of production wine out there that is very popular. One of these may be a bottle that you recently purchased. So we have 19 Crimes. Of course, this is production wine out of Australia. And as if I have to tell you, this stuff here is production wine as well. Josh out of California. This is production wine as well. And what used to be a decent wine, Bread and Butter, also now a production wine. Carnivore, production wine. J. Lord out of Paso Robles, a production wine. Conundrum also used to be a decent wine, now a production wine. And Miomi, also a production wine. Then there's the Casillero del Diablo section in my local LCBO. They have so many SKUs here. It's just insane how much wine they sell in one LCBO. Production wine. So that's production wine. For whatever reason, it's doing really well. It takes advantage of convenience, scale. It definitely takes advantage of scale. They can make lots and lots of this wine and make a pretty decent buck on it per bottle. So what's fine wine? It's everything else, basically. It's wine that is made by usually human hands at a winery. If you visit the Niagara area or you visit Sonoma Valley and you go down the Dry Creek Road there and you pull into these wineries that are making their wine. Oftentimes you can see the owner and you can see the winemaker, and oftentimes the wine is a little bit more expensive, but it doesn't necessarily have to be more expensive. There's a lot of wine out of Portugal, for example, that is shipped to North America, and it's made with human hands. There is some production wine that comes out of Portugal and makes its way into Canada, but for the most part, the wine that you get out of Portugal is grapes that you don't see here, and it's relatively inexpensive, and it can be classified as fine wine. Wine that's made by a winery with, it's a smaller operation. I wish I could lock down to a certain, how big is too big? When does it turn into production wine? Well, when you make thousands of cases of different SKUs of wine, then you're getting into the production wine. Whereas most of the wine that I drink is from wineries that produce less than 5,000 cases a year. On many bottles that you buy, you can see how many cases of that wine were made. So, bottom line, buy fine wine when you can buy fine wine, and try to stay away from production wine, because that wine is made to be that wine. Whether it's Josh, Josh has to taste the same every single year. If it tasted different, people would stop buying it and move to something else, and they certainly don't want that. That'd be like Coke changing their formula, and then people go to Pepsi. Same concept. So obviously they have to make this wine taste similar. How do they do that? Well, they gotta follow a recipe, and it's the certain chemicals that they got to put into these wines to make them production wines. So buy fine wine. On to something a little more fun, less educational. Here's a good example of some fine wine. It's Hidden Bench Locust Lane Rosé. My wife and I recently went to Hidden Bench and had a very nice tasting there. Sat down with a couple from Montreal who were very knowledgeable about wine, and we had a great tasting there. And I recently saw this bottle in the LCBO, and I said, I got to scoop it up. I want to say it was even on sale for $2 off. It was under $20, like many rosés are. And I thought I'd give this one a taste right now. Why? Because you should know what this tastes like. And I'm a little parched. Oh, we got some strawberries and rhubarb on the nose. Very inviting. More red berries. Nice texture. Not quite creamy. Nice acidity. The finish is doing good, but that's just the first sip. Here's the average wine enthusiast tip of the day. Never judge a wine by the first sip, especially if it's the first sip of the day. Your mouth has just gotten used to the idea that you're putting alcohol in it. Second sip makes it different. Very, very nice. This rosé was made from Pinot Noir at Hidden Bench. Hidden Bench is in the Niagara area. If you didn't know that, I would highly suggest you go to your local LCBO and pick it up if you don't live in Ontario. I'm not sure that you could actually get your hands on this or not, but this is fine wine. Very fine wine, and it was under $20. This is the kind of stuff you should be buying. On to something else. I have a little story about this wine, actually. I follow and am a member of Carl's Wine Club. Carl Boucher over there at Carl's Wine Club, who I like to throw a shout out to every time I do a show, because it's a place where he doesn't sell any wine actually, but he turns us on to nothing but fine wine. And so one of the wineries he featured was Monte Creek, which is near Kamloops, British Columbia, up in the Thompson River Valley, somewhat north. To me, that's northern Canada. It's a beautiful country up in the mountains. It's amazing up there. Anyway, a feature he had there was Monte Creek, and I took the feature. I want to say I bought even a couple extra bottles. So each feature has either 4 or 6 bottles that are involved, and I think I purchased 7 or 9, I forget. And when I got my wine, I actually made a video and put it up on Instagram, which is where you can find me, by the way. I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook as well. That's where I do most of my, shout outs. And what I would really like to do is tell you more about the wines that I'm drinking on a regular basis. I'm working towards that. But anyway, little digression there. So I made a video of the wine that I received. I was just excited to get this Monte Creek wine, so I put it out on the table here and shot a little video. And then when I was done posting the video, I realized that there is no way that I would have bought this very specific bottle of wine. Why? Because it is a mixture of grape juice and blueberry juice. I've tried fruit-based wines before in the past, and they just don't do anything for me. They kind of turn me off, or there's no way I can warm up to a bottle of this. You know, you try to finish a bottle or even have 2 glasses of it. I can't do it. Some people like this stuff, but this is actually a blend of grapes and blueberries. So I figured I'll never have another bottle of this in my life, I don't think, unless this thing happens again. So they accidentally sent me the wrong wines, by the way. Monte Creek sent me the wrong wines. And they did the right thing, and they shipped my real order and just said, keep the wine that we shipped to you. So I figured, if anything, I could tell you that, one, Monte Creek makes excellent wine. Visit them on the web and order some wine yourself, or just go to Carl's Wine Club. He may have a line on some of their wine for you. And great place. And obviously that was, you know, how good can customer service get, you know, other than, sorry, we shipped you the wrong wine, keep it and we'll send you the right wine. Doesn't get any better than that. But so I thought I would test the, oh, it's fizzy too. Look at that. We got some fizz on that. So I like sparkling. Sparkling blueberry juice, I'm not too sure, but I think the grape that they put in here is Merlot. I can't imagine it being Pinot, which is what they grow a lot of up north there, obviously. Pinot being a cool climate grape. On the nose, we have something that tastes or smells a lot like grape pop. Has that, whatever that is, that overtone to it. But once all the fizz is gone and it stops releasing all that air, there isn't much on the nose, a little quiet on the nose. Let's give it a taste. Never judge a wine on the first sip. Did you ever hear that before? You know what this would be good with is maybe if you make a sangria with this. So, you know, you add wine to various fruits and fruit juices. And it's pretty decent. A lot of people like sangria, and there's tons of good sangrias out there. That's actually what this reminds me of. It reminds me of a sangria. So maybe you don't need to make a sangria with this. Maybe this is just fine and dandy. Maybe put it on ice. Who knows? But it would be great on a hot summer day sitting by the pool or something. What is the volume of alcohol that's in here? 9.8. You could probably drink this whole bottle and not even realize that you drank it. Don't do that. But I can't say anything bad about this. Good on you there, Monte Creek. I'm sorry to say I will never buy another bottle of this, but it's definitely something that is palatable for sure. And like I said, put some ice on it and it'll cool you down out in the backyard on a hot summer day. I guess that's going to be it for now. I would like to thank you for watching. And if you have any friends who are like you, who watch videos on YouTube about wine, turn them on to The Average Wine Enthusiast. I would really appreciate it. You know what else I appreciate? Is the Big Organ Trio letting me use their music on the show. I guess that's it for now, everybody. Thanks a lot for watching. My name is Mike LaPlante, and I'm the Average Wine Enthusiast. Salud!